Welcome, everyone, to Coffee, Coaching, and Callings, a live podcast created for coaches, leaders, and helping professionals that are on a mission to lead a successful and heart-centered life. Your hosts today are myself, Laurel Elders, and Nancy Smyth of the Institute for Integrative Intelligence, where our mission is to elevate human potential through the art and the science of masterful coaching. I'd love to just introduce Nancy. Nancy holds an MCC credential with the ICF. In the mid-1980s, Nancy apprenticed with an Aztec Indian Medicine Man. Her entire apprenticeship was one of learning to see and recognize what was invisible to the eye. And I love this because today's topic, we're going to be focusing on the role of energy in coaching. So welcome, Nancy. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Conversation with you today.
I'm happy to be with you, Laurel.
So I wanted to kick us off because you were the first coach that opened my eyes to the role that energy plays in masterful coaching. So specifically, I remember you and I were on a coaching call. You're coaching me, and you noticed that I got silent, and you paused and said, "Where did you go?" And I thought, wow, you somehow knew, because sometimes silence means the client is processing, and sometimes it means they're exiting. And you picked up on that nuance, even though we're over the phone, hundreds of miles apart. So
Right.
Just so fascinating.
I know, and don't we love that? And I think if parents are listening, they understand when their child says they're okay and they're not,
Yeah.
or when there's a look on a face, or there's a sound in their voice, right? I think that that's natural for a parent to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a coach, that's actually what we're searching for and looking for in our client. Like, what are the signs they're giving us that are not words? They're energy, right? They're indications of something happening that's really important for that person at the time. And can we hear it? Can we see it? Can we feel it? I think it's really important for all of our senses to be awake and aware, right?
Right. Yes, because we're coaching the whole person, but we're also, I love what you said, all of our senses. So we're coaching from our whole person, all of our senses.
Yes, it's that's 100% to 100%. Where we're really totally fully engaged. This isn't a business transaction at all. This is an intimacy moment, right? It's me loving that person so much on the other side of the phone that I'm going to be there with them wherever they go, whatever's happening. And so my question to you at that time, although I don't remember that moment as you do, was, where are you now? Help me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I first learned about the power of energy when I worked at a college for traditional Chinese medicine. And I realized when I worked there that energy is often in American culture, often misunderstood or left out. And just studying quantum physics and how energy doesn't really follow the same rules and principles and laws that matter does. Really fascinating.
Right. And I think we forget about the impact then of energy, right? Because I think culturally, we've not been allowed to explore energy. As a child, we know it really well. We can tell. I remember my little girl who's blind when she's little, she's blind, but she could pick up on things that were so sensitive in the air. And I would watch that and think, wow, talk about reality. My reality and her reality are two different things. And I want to join that reality. So she was part of my learning process, actually, when you talk about going back in history and learning things, is watching what someone who cannot see can feel in the environment, and then respond to that in a way that's much more practical than we would think that energy would be practical, right?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious if you have any tips or message for newer coaches that are just learning about presence and the role that their energy plays.
Well, a million things happened in my mind simultaneously when we asked the question. So there's the preparation for the call, right? To align our energy with that client, to even align that energy with ourselves, to be clear about our own energy before we come to a call, and then to align our energy with that client even before we come on the call. That client's life needs to be precious for us because they've counted on us. They've invested in us in many ways in order to have their greatest outcome, their greatest life. And so for us, it's this contract we've made with them at an energy level that says, you are important and I will be there for you. Mm-hmm. And so that preparation is the first thing. And then what else happened when you asked the question for me is that during the call, then how do we manage that, our energy during the call? So if they're bringing up something that triggers something in us about our own life, right? And something we haven't solved in our own life, how do we stay then with the client, totally with them, and not let what's happening inside of interfere with what they're needing in the moment? Mm-hmm. So then that's one level of energy to watch. Another is, how can we be so steady and inviting and welcoming and safe that the client can risk everything and go wherever they need to go? And that's all about energy, isn't it? All those words. I mean, how do you measure those things, on a desk or in a room, or they can't be measured with a ruler or a quart-sized jug. They can't be measured. But we know it inside of ourselves. We know when we're with someone, and we know when we're pulling away or we're not attentive. We know that. So those are the kinds of thoughts that came up in me. Then how do I readjust in those moments when I'm noticing that distancing in myself, or I notice that getting involved in their thing because it's my thing too, like when I notice all those things, where do I go? What do I do? And for me, what I do is that I go back to my heart. That I go back to my commitment. I go back to that, connecting my heart back to their heart, to their desire, to their commitment to me, so that I stay committed to them. So that's what I do. And I do that either with the breath. Actually, I think I do it with the breath all the time. Even though I might use some other mental things, I think I do it with the breath all the time. As I said that to you, I thought, I think I do it with the breath actually all the time, that I take that moment, I take that pause inside myself, not to criticize myself at all or to judge, but to notice, just to notice and go, okay, I'm back here with you, right? And to recommit in that moment, to sign up for what I've agreed to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, lovely. Yeah, for me, what comes to mind also is, am I clear? Am I showing up clear, or is a bias coming in? Am I clouding
Right.
my perception in any way? And what can I do to clear it back out to be
Right.
fully
Right.
present? And yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said bias too, because that's just as important as the other things that I said.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. It's like, I've come to believe that coaching is a profession where we get to learn about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We think about it as a profession where we get to go help others. But I've really come to believe that it's a profession where we get to learn about ourselves more and more, because that attentiveness that we're talking about, that energy level of being present with another human being, is teaching us things about ourselves that we wouldn't see otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a moment to moment awareness, self-awareness that needs to keep growing, shifting, understanding, transforming. Because whatever they're bringing to us helps us to see the world in a whole new way.
Mm-hmm.
And how open are we to that? So when you said the word bias, I'm like, oh yes, definitely we should include that perspective in everything that we do.
Yeah. And I really appreciate what you said about the moment to moment. One of the things that I learned from you earlier on was masterful coaching is not about perfection. It's not about perfection. Excuse me. It's about presence. How can we be present to what is going on, to pick up on nuances, to pick up on subtleties, to pick up on biases, to pick up on where my energy is or the client's energy.
Yeah, to pick up on something that the client says that might be so natural for them, and maybe even for our ears, that we miss what's lying right underneath that. And only our energy and our presence can let us know that. It's a sensitivity. It's a sensitivity to when chefs prepare a meal, whatever kind of chefs, but they know by a taste what's missing. Is there enough acidity in this? Is there enough? They'll know right away. Their sense of taste has become so acute. And that's what needs to happen for our own selves. Our hearing, our feeling, our sensing about our clients needs to be that acute.
I love that analogy. And I've been watching lots of chef shows lately, so that really brings it to life. So we were talking yesterday, and you mentioned that you and Sharon Eakes were invited to write chapter 9 in Professional Coaching Principles and Practice. And I thank you for sharing that with me, because I was reading through that and pulled a couple of quotes I wanted to share with our listeners. The first one is, heart-centeredness is central to the coaching relationship. Beneath whatever outcome clients want, they desire belonging, happiness, and fulfillment. These are issues of the heart. Therefore, the condition of the coach's heart matters. To the degree that we are in touch with our pristine heart, we relate to our clients and the underlying aspects of their concerns. Our heart is a magnetic, cohesive force. It strengthens the relationship. Our best emerges. For this reason, merging a powerful heart energy with our mind and skill set provides support from our entire being and gives both our clients and us welcome benefits. I just love that. Just speaks to that, the power of just being present. And it's almost like presence gives us access points, new
Yes.
access points with our
Yeah.
client.
Yes. And that presence is really in the heart. That presence is really in the heart. And I know when coaches are just beginning, because it's so new, everything is new and they want to do it right, right? So I want to help this person. I mean, it's coming from the best place inside of them. And they really want to help. They really want to do it right. And so they have all these little questions written down, right? And those questions are great to start with.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point as you're developing as a coach to put aside the questions and trust your heart and trust your connection with that person. Because the mind is great. I'm not putting the mind down at all, but it's only part of the recipe. In order to have the tastiest dish alive, right? We need to have our heart there. We really need to combine those two. And then of course our skill set grows. So our skills get better and better, because we're practicing, and that practice helps us get better, just like doing anything, practicing playing tennis or whatever we're going to do, right? We get better at the skill of it. Right. But there's that moment when your whole body, even playing like tennis, when your whole body has to participate, not just a technical skill of a swing or whatever you're needing to perform, right? So in that same way, as we develop as coaches, we have to fully immerse ourselves, heart, mind, and spirit, with this client to get the very best for them, the very best for them.
Well, and for me, what's so powerful about what you're sharing is, from my spiritual perspective, the heart is the one space within us that is incapable of self-deception. And so I think the purity and grounding and clarity that can come from including that heart-centeredness when we're coaching is so powerful.
That reading you read too, the word I use, pristine heart, right? Because sometimes we think, oh, my heart just aches because he left me, but we're not talking about that. We're not talking about emotions. We're talking about the pure heart that each of us has. And that's what makes us connected to each other, actually. That actually helps us. So I like that you brought that forward, because that is so dear. It's almost like having this treasure, and we've put it aside, or it's in a drawer, it's right there, and it's a treasure, and I know it's there, right? Or to fully use it, fully embody it, fully dwell within it, so that we are the best we can be for others and for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also thinking about the energy of coaching itself. So I remember just learning coaching, and it was so counterintuitive to everything I knew with advising, and even some counseling. I had run some support groups for single parents, and I thought we were coaching, and we weren't actually using coaching skills. I didn't know that at the time. So it took a while to center into, this is the energy of coaching. I'm purely curious. I don't know what's true for the client. I am honoring that they are the expert. And I'm completely curious what they have to self-discover about themselves. That was a bigger shift than I thought it would be.
It's a huge shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it does come from that place that we want to help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think it comes from a pure place,
Mm-hmm.
although it's not as helpful as we've always thought it was. You know, that giving advice, showing the person the way, because for that, what happens to their energy is that it almost keeps their energy bound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bound by some kind of thoughts that we have about them and their ability to know themselves, to help themselves, to free themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how you talked about that, because coaching is that place where we totally trust the client to find that within themselves. So we're actually helping them access that very same place that you were trying to access when you first came to coaching to learn how to coach, right? And we're helping them to learn that place inside of themselves to empower themselves. So coaching really is an empowering tool. It's not an advising tool, it's an empowering tool. And I love that about coaching.
Me too. Me too.
Look what's possible for a client
Mm-hmm.
when they can start to feel like, I can handle this. I can do this for myself. Like I am able. There's something about that that's just wonderful. We have all these adults walking around the world that feel like I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's what coaching has brought into the world that wasn't there before.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And what's fascinating to me is when the distinction of coaching was created versus counseling and therapy versus advising or mentoring or consulting, it was recognized as a new distinct way of being with someone and helping them come to their own wisdom and their own conclusions. I think I've shared this with you. Growing up, I was looking for someone who could give me answers and guide me. I felt that was missing. I was looking and I looked around and I said, where are our elders? I didn't have many growing up in my circle. And I realized when I got into coaching that coaching is a new form of eldership where people are learning from the highest aspects of themselves. And that I guess, epiphany realization was just so powerful.
Yeah, it's a
And
beautiful, beautiful realization. Yeah. And what a way to state it. It's just, it really is. It's that higher part of ourself, right? Yes. Yes.
all right. So one more quote, an excerpt. Quote, knowingly or not, we enter every coaching conversation carrying with us the whole enchilada of our lives. Many of us were attracted to this profession because we like to help. Clients want help and come thirsting for answers. They want to know what to do or how to solve a problem. Quickly going to a solution has merit and can be exhilarating. However, taking the time to delve into the source of issues creates more sustainable results.
Hmm.
The latter perspective, the most important role we play as a coach is to develop relationships with clients that invite them to enter deeply into their own wisdom.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
heart of coaching right there.
Right. To be able to access it for themselves then too, so that it doesn't just exist on that call, but it actually helps train them. And in a way, it's helping to train them to find that place within themselves so that they have that as their tool.
Yeah, so I'm reminded of the axiom: give someone a fish, they're fed for a day; teach someone to fish, they're fed for a lifetime. And to me, that's the role that coaches play: is here, now you've got the answers generating from within, and you have different ways of accessing.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, Nancy, thank you so much. It's such a delight to have this conversation with you. And I did want to highlight, if anyone is interested in the book that we referenced today, it is called Professional Coaching: Principles and Practice. It can be found online, and we can put links to it as we post this. And Nancy, would you love to share more about where people can learn more about working with you?
Oh, sure. They can come to they can come to twowisewomen.org,
Okay.
and they'll be able to leave a note there, and I'll respond.
Wonderful. And Nancy's also one of our beloved senior faculty in our coach training programs at the Institute, and our director of education. Very, very cherished part of our organization. So thank you again for being here.
Oh, thank you, Laurel. I love being with you.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We hope these messages have been a lantern to your path as you expand your success as a coach, leader, or helping professional. You can join the conversation further at integrativeintelligence.global. Bye for now.
Bye.